All right, guys, thanks for chiming in. It is Monday morning, roughly 1 a.m., a couple hours before pre-market. I've done about 5 of these videos at about 20, 30 minutes each, but I think I got it right now. So we're going to run through this real quick. We're currently looking at the 30-minute chart. This is for our analysis for the week. We're going to go over our levels and our algos and the structure that we expect for this coming up week for Monday, April 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. So currently, you can see that we have been in this buying right here, right? See, we're in this buying right here. That's not perfect, but you get the idea. All right, and then the next one will be something like that right there, roughly. All right, so now we're starting to taper off. All right, our buying is starting to slow. Right? You can see it real easy right there. That's not perfect, but it is what it is. All right, you can see the buying is starting to taper off. And if you look into the last couple of days, you can see perfectly that we're starting to sell a little bit, right? Now, we've been the last couple of days, we've been in this red selling. Now, overall, we're still in this buying, okay? We're still in the buying for the most part, but we are starting to taper off. That's why we use these algos to give us confluence to where we're at. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take these algos off to give you a better structure. But you can see right here is our 5-day. Right here is our 200. And right here is the 20. We're not going to really focus on the 200 and the 20 until we go over the 1-day chart and the 1-minute chart. But that's what we're working on. So right now we're going to focus on the structure that we got in front of us. You see that we have the 5-day right here. Goodness gracious. And we got our levels here, right? And if you follow me on my group, you know I've been screaming 676 all week. There it is. Roughly 672 and 673 right there, right? Okay. So Monday historically is the lowest volume day of the week. It's usually a real flat day, not a lot of volume action going on. I used to trade Monday through Thursdays, but because we've been so flat, I've been trading Tuesdays through Fridays more because Fridays have been more volatile. So what I would expect is, say we bounce around up in here in these levels, right? And that gives a little bit of time for this 5-day to come up here to 672, 673. And that's these levels right here. All right, what that does is a lot of times when these averages, not a lot of times, when these averages hit these levels, they like to coincide with each other, okay? Because that's where liquidity is. The 5-day average is an average. So every 5 days, it's going to make that average either every 2 or 3 days to the high side and 2 or 3 days to the low side, or every 5 days, you're getting real close to knowing that you're going to come back to it. And tomorrow, Monday, will be exactly 5 trading days since we have been at the 5-day average. So that gives us pretty good confluence that we're going to be coming back to it pretty soon. Now, what that does is gives us time for this to work out through here and gives this 5-day time to come up to those levels. And when it does, I would expect to see this head and shoulders here, right? Head and shoulder. Then we come down, reject that, back to the 5-day. Now, that's what I'm expecting. Now, it could happen in the pre-market in a couple hours. It could happen Monday. It could happen after hours on Monday and Tuesday. But if it doesn't, and we stretch this up until, let's say, Tuesday, right? Let's go ahead and get on the 1-day chart where we can see this a little better. All right, here's our 1-day. So let's say you can see this this 670 right here. We get up to 672, 673, which you can see perfectly is right there with that level also, right? And we got a nice little head and shoulders sitting up here, right? Now, say we bounce around up in here, and that lets us to get to 672, bring the average up to 672, 673, and come down to. Now, let's say it doesn't. Let's say we stick around with this Bollinger up here, because you can see this Bollinger starting to roll up. So we could easily stay up in here, right? and get up to 684-ish, something like that. And what that does is gives us time for this 5-day to come up to that strong level of 676 that we know it wants pretty bad, right? Well, if it does stay up there long enough for the 5-day to come up to 676, that means it's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday, which means it's going to be the 6th, 7th, 8th day of the average. Well, that's going to be highly overextended of the 5-day on the high side. So that means when it comes down to the 5-day, it's most likely going to, not most likely, it's going to have to come to the low side to make up for that average being overextended to the high side. So therefore, it's going to have to come a lot further under the 5-day to make that up. So when it does that, if it was to do that, we'd start looking at these other levels down here, right? And that'll have these other ones. That's our 200, and here's our 20, right? We start looking at seeing what levels they're playing at. Now, you can see this red right here, that dotted red, is where our current price is right now. And you can see over here that that's a real good support and resistance zone of liquidity right there. You look right through there, there's a lot of liquidity sitting up right there. There's a lot for it to grab and want to take off, right? Which would be perfect for a inverse head and shoulders right here, right? That'd be perfect. So we're not setting up no type of bias here. However, at the moment, the structure that's in front of us is what we're going to play with this 5-day right here, right? I think we've got this head and shoulders setting up quite nicely here with our levels. Now, if you look at the algorithms, just like we did on the 30-minute, okay, those aren't perfect, but you get the idea, okay? Then you look at the selling that we're doing here. Something like that, okay? And say that our 5-day does come up here to 672, 673 level right there, 72, 73. If we stay in this red selling right here, guess what? Where's that go? Perfectly to that 5-day right there, 672, 673. So it could stay in that red selling and be perfectly in line with our 5-day. And that still keeps us in our overall buying, right? We're still in the buying. So that sets us up for that inverse head and shoulder. Okay? So our bias isn't strong on puts or calls. We're just playing the structure that's in front of us. So don't think one way or the other, to try to go heavy long. And if you look at where the liquidity is at on these levels, right? There, roughly there, roughly there. See that neckline there, and again there. Now, let's say that we do come up here and follow this Bollinger up here. All right, the Bollinger comes up here, and we hang out up there a little bit, right? Come up here, and we bring this 5-day up to 676. Well, what's that going to do? It's going to bring the other averages up as well. Say up here 676, right? So that brings our other averages up also. So that means our 200 will probably come up here to about that level there. And our 20-day will come up to about that level there, something like that. Now, if we overextend into Tuesday, Wednesday on the 5-day before respecting the 5-day, like I was saying, it's overextended, so therefore it has to make up that low side a lot further. Okay, so if we don't hit the 5-day until Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that, well, at that point, yes, I could definitely see us staying around in here and coming back and hitting these levels like that, something just like that, right? Because it's got that overextended it has to make up that average to the low side because we overextended it so far. And typically on the 5-day, you go 2 or 3 days to the high side, come back to the 5-day, 2 or 3 days to the low side, and it makes the average in the middle. 5 days in the middle average. However, tomorrow being Monday will be the 5th trading day since we have not. You can see the 5 days down here was the last time, right there, I apologize. It's right here. And so that was the last time that we respected the 5-day right here, which is exactly 5 days ago. Now, if we go until the 7th and 8th day, that's going to push it up, and it pushing it up is going to bring the rest of everything else up, and then it's going to have to go lower to make up that average. And we're already on the 5-day side of it. So that gives us very good confluence. That's going to want to get to it. If it stays over, then I would definitely say that we're probably going to come back down in here because it has to make up the difference in the average. Now, while we're here on the 1 day, I'm going to go over these Bollinger Bands a little bit. You remember me telling you last week that we were setting up for a squeeze, and that's because these Bollinger Bands right here were pinching, okay? You see them pinching there? And that lets me know that we're setting up for a squeeze. And what happened? We hit it, all right? Now they are opening up. You see them starting to open up here, right? Starting to curl back open. And the reason for that is that it's getting to be more volatile. The Bollinger Bands are a mathematical equation of the exhausted prices on the high and low side. So when it starts to open up on this volatility here, it gives us an idea that the range is going to be a lot further, right? It gives us a lot more wide open range to use for confluence. So I would expect that if we do get up here, and we could easily sit up here to 674. You see the Bollinger Band there, right? So if we stay in this buying right there, we could easily, get up in here for the next couple days. And if we do that and bring this 5-day up to say 676-ish, right? You see that perfect level right there. Oop, look at that, how easy that is. Then you see that it stops right there, That's as good as it gets. If that 5-day gets up to 676, you can put about all the money you got on that bad boy coming down to it. Now, if it does, then it's going to have to come down here to make up the difference of the average. So we'll play that when we get there. We ain't got no bias. We're just looking at what's in front of us. And right now, for the next day or two, I would expect to see this little head and shoulders right here to come down to the 5-day. Now, depending on if we get there at 672, 673, or 676, will determine if we play it as support or resistance. Now, as soon as this thing comes down to the 5-day as support or hits it, there's going to be a lot of orders sitting there. A lot of people put orders at the 5-day. So don't be the same and just, it's at the 5-day, it's going to be support, yada, yada. Don't do that. Because what happens is all them orders that's there, the market's not designed to make money for you. It's designed to make money for these companies. So that means it's got to take your money. So all these orders that set up at the 5-day, it's going to come below it for liquidity grab, right? So to hit all them stop losses, to get them to them calls at the 5-day to sell. Then once all them sell, then it'll take off back up. So wait for it to do its little liquidity grab, then come up and take off, right? You want it to come back and confirm support again, then take off. So just because it comes down to it, don't jump in immediately, right? Wait for the confirmation. Now, if it hits it as resistance, then like I was saying, you can see these levels right here. All right. That's going to bring the 200-day up there, something like that, and the 20-day something up like that. And then at that point, we would, reject those, play those on the way down. So don't form a bias. And I'm going to show you this 1 minute here just for to tie it all together, okay? So that's our 1 day. You can see we're clearly in this buying, right? There's our selling. Here's our 5-day. So likely we stay in the selling right here, or we come up to this this Bollinger Band, rolls up a little bit, and we hit it, or we hit it again just the same, something like that right there, and then we take it back down because the 5-day will come up to about 676 at that point. And even if we do that, we're still in this buying, right? So that's why we don't have a bias one way or the other, because even if we do hit that selling, we're still in this main buying. So there's no reason to front jump the gun here. Play what's in front of you. Play the chart that's in front of you. Don't try to, swing this heavily one way or the other for any one reason. All right. So let's look at the 1 minute and see where the precision of the micro context is going to come from. All right, here's our 1 minute. Now, this is going to show you the levels a little bit more clear. You can see it's about 678.5, roughly 682. There's our 676, our beautiful 676, 673, 672. All right. So tomorrow being Monday, it's going to be a flat day. Likely to hang around in here, something like that, to bring this up, this 5-day up. And once this 5-day gets up here to 672, and the reason I've got 672 marked like that is because over here it was a strong level a few days past. So say we bring it up to 672, 673, something like that, potentially 674, then that's when I would expect us to close the cups, right? So look, good chance that when this gets up to 674, 673, 674 right there, we'll close these cups, right? But you can see there's a little bit of liquidity right there. So it's potentially could wait long enough, like I said, run up to the top of the Bollinger Band to try to get some more people in. That this gets up to 676 first, right? Because we've got this little liquidity right here for support. Now, aside from all of that, you see that there is not much liquidity in this zone right here, right? So either today we bounce around in here together, but most likely we'll hang it around in here or come up on higher. So when you see it get up in this 672 level right here, you wait for it for support, then take it to about 674. That's about where that Bollinger is going to be, maybe 685. Then that's going to be overextended right there. So wait, don't try to push anything over that 684.5-ish. Don't push anything over that. And wait for it to come back here, right? But you see this zone right here, there's like no liquidity in there. So therefore, when it does break 678.5, it's going to come down pretty quick, right? Because there's no liquidity in there to grab. So it's going to hang here, maybe do this little number. But if it does come in there, it's going to do it fast. When it comes from 678.5 to 676, it's going to do it pretty fast. Now, 676 is a very strong support level. So if it does take till Tuesday or Wednesday for the 5-day to get up to 676, probably Wednesday or something like that. I don't know. Let's see. It could jump 4 or 5 points in a day. Over the weekend is very likely. So if we open up and the 5-day is up here at 674, 676, you can bet your ass we're going back to it. That's just how averages work. It's just what it is. That's why it's an average. So that's what we're playing. Expect to close these cups right here, guys. It's not rocket surgery. If it does take through the day, Monday's a flat day typically, and even if it does range through here, right, come to the 5-day, that's only a 5-point day, 6-point day, which is a very short day for SPY lately. So it's not difficult to think that it's going to do it in Monday. 6 points in a day is not a big deal. A lot of times we've had 2 or 3 point days on Monday. So that's why I could see the range right here to bring it up a little bit more. But we've already done that over the weekend. So we'll see. We'll see where we open up at. Pre-market could trash this. Pre-market and it could come just trash down here to pre-market, But that's okay. That's fine too. If it does, we'll play it as support up or resistance on the way down. Now, the earlier it hits this 5-day, say like Monday morning, Monday afternoon, the earlier it does that will be the context as to if it's going to play more role of support or resistance. If it waits till Tuesday or Wednesday to get to the 5-day, then there's going to be a little bit more downside, I would say. But if it does it first thing tomorrow or even in the pre-market, then I'd say it's going to take support and it's going to run with that inverse head and shoulders that's setting up on the 1-day. So that's where we're at, folks. If any of this I didn't go over well or could do better, please let me know. Or if you got any questions at all about any of this, I didn't explain it well, then, you know, just chime in, let me know, because I will do my best to go over it a little better. Okay? That way you got an idea of where we're coming up for the next couple days. So you see our levels, you know what we're playing. We're looking at this little head and shoulders right here for the next day or next 24 hours, 48 hours. And then from there, if we don't get it by then, and say this does get up to 676, we may open, the 5 day may open right here, pre-market at open at 9:30 a.m. And it may be at 676. And if it is, you can just bet about your dollar. We're coming back to it. But you know, don't get a big bias on either way, because you can see this is a clear inverse head and shoulders setting up here. But the smaller structure is setting up for a head and shoulders. So we'll just play whatever comes, whatever's in front of us, that's what we'll play. Now don't forget, we got all this liquidity right here. That's the reason, right? So if you got any questions, drop it. If I didn't explain well or I went too fast, please let me know. And I will do my best to try to make it better understanding. But I guess that's it. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Hope you took some time away from the market to just relax, get this out of your mind, spend some time with your family. And we can do this, you know, during the day. Don't let this stuff stress you out. Try to stay on top of it all the time. We're going to find money with what's sitting in the front of us and then go on about our day. Don't be worried about this stuff overnight, all that good stuff. There's nothing you can do about it. If there's any questions you got, drop them. I'll do my best. Hope you all had a good weekend, and stay blessed. Love you guys.